What the fuck is sleep? I don't even know what that is. Just pull me a forward that tree. Hold up and watch that bitch.
You're not married, Jeff. You engaged. Let's talk about that. When were you officially engaged? You know the date?
I want to say might have been July 13th.
Oh, well, when are you getting married?
I'm getting married October 22nd of next year, October 22nd, 2023.
That's hard, man.
Yeah.
Like, I want to say, like, you know, I ain't even just gonna say in our community. Let's just say the rap community. You don't really see that being promoted a lot, even though, you know, a lot of them are married. It's just not something they promote. They feel like it'll hurt their image. What's your thoughts on that? I salute you. You know,
I appreciate it.
I want to get married one day.
Yeah, I think I would say it's the opposite, to be real, for me, because hurting my image.
Okay, it helps.
Yeah, because so much of my image is being authentically me. You know, so even a lot of folks will tell you, like, even growing up, I was always that type of person who did, like, wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, I was always a very romantic person. A lot of that just dealing with things from my childhood, wanting to be loved, you feel me, this, that, and the other. Like, my mom adored me. So I always had that at home. But like we was talking about, the complacency and mundane thing, you obviously grow up to find love elsewhere as well. So I was always, you feel me, trying to settle down, be with somebody. Like, I thought I was gonna do the high school sweethearts thing. That, you feel me, that looked cool to me. You feel me, like getting with. I thought that's really what you did. Even though I knew college was a thing, you feel me, I was a person that really never ran from that side of, like, love. Like, you know, I kind of wanted to welcome it, either finding somebody in high school. If I didn't find somebody in high school, find somebody in college. And it's funny that I had that experiences, because now that I'm older, I'm able to, like, tell all my homeboys and all my younger ones that are, like, currently experiencing that right now from a genuine, like, good-hearted person's standpoint. Sometimes it'll be the complete opposite for you. Like, you're not gonna find that until you stop looking for it. Like, and I feel like that's true in any sense of it. Like, that doesn't mean, like, don't go shoot your shot or don't go approach that person, but sometimes that happens after a period of you not wanting to approach anybody. Like, that's kind of what happened with me. I was dealing with a bad breakup. I didn't want to really go nowhere. I didn't want to be out. My homie Mike, who's the creator of Locals Only, the clothing line, I was networking with him a whole lot that summer. Cinco, James Lancaster, a lot of those guys. Solo, that's when I met Solo Graves, Andre Wolf. I met a lot of those guys, Savvy, Dylan, David, Devo. I met, like, all of those guys all during, like, the same period. And a lot of them really would come pick me up from Nolensville to go to a little showcase or just to mob around. Shout out Alex, she threw on camp during that period, and that helped build a lot of these conversations and a lot of these relationships. But Mike scooped me up one night because Kimosabi, Meese, Jack Fear, Case, all those guys, Vice Paradise, was throwing a little apartment party in Antioch. And I wasn't going to go, like, at all. I really didn't feel like going out. But he told me he'd come get me. And I'm like, any person that's going to do that, I was like, I can at least, like, just so I can have a good time. I was like, I might as well get up, have, like, a good attitude, get dressed. And so I went, and that's where I ended up meeting my fiance. And that's probably, like, the one time that I really just decided to really focus on myself. I had been doing that for the past, like, 3.5 weeks, but I was stuck in the house. Like, I really wasn't going out nowhere, wasn't doing nothing. Just working on music, playing the game, focusing on me, getting my mental health, like, straight for real. And that's literally how I fell into meeting my fiance. But I think for anybody looking for that type of love or companionship, to just be optimistic and hopeful, and, like, if you know you have that type of situation with a significant other you have right now, just, like, fully commit to it and be authentic. Like, I've had some of my hardest conversations with that woman, you feel me? So it's like, and I don't mean that in, like, the most cliche way, but, like, a lot of people who are married and who are in serious relationships will understand that. And for me, that was my biggest thing, because I hadn't been in healthy relationships like I thought they were. But just the way I am, I shut down during, like, serious things, or, you know, sometimes I can have a sense to where I just want to apologize and do whatever I can to fix it, when sometimes I'm not even wrong, you know what I mean? So her teaching me to even set those boundaries for myself. You feel me? Being with somebody who's not afraid to be wrong is like very nice and like powerful, because then it shuts down everything in my body that's telling me to also have that guard up when I'm wrong. So I can really come out and just be genuine in who I am as a person. So I would want anybody, including artists, I don't think it'll hurt your career. Now if you like an R&B singer whose main theme is to be like super duper 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 toxic, like not even to just say Future, because like I think Future's so talented that if he got married and really just started making good-hearted, he'd have to change like a lot of his marketing, but he's got the type of machine behind him that those people would still, it's Future, you feel me? And you can still, the thing I love about music so much is that you can still talk about past experiences and that pain, because that pain is something that's very real, and when you don't process pain and trauma, it leads to you doing it in other avenues that's not healthy. So I really think a lot of rappers should analyze themselves, obviously, first and foremost, because you don't want to get another person involved in a game of feelings and not have your heart in it the right way. But if you are in a relationship tussling with that, I think you should just be honest with yourself about it, and there's a way to work around everything. Like with me, I think it just fits perfect with my brand, because I'm an everyday person. So like this is just another step into my life's overall journey, and so of course it ties in with who I am as a musician and as a rapper. But I'm still conscious in it. Like I don't, not to like diss him or nothing, but like I'm not necessarily taking the Chance the Rapper route. Yeah, like I'm not necessarily finna make a whole album about my wedding, but like, you know, I got like 1 or 2 songs, because I know like I don't really want to do that to people myself, you know, like I want to keep some things private and intimate, but I do think, you know, my fiance, you know, my future wife, my best friend, my companion, significant other, with me loving music so much, like it's only my nature that I would of course make 1 or 2 songs about getting married or just the whole ordeal and stuff like that, and make it fit in with my brand. Plus, like, I'm not just here talking about it, like, and you know, that worked for Chance in some, you know, form or fashion. A lot of he still got a lot of hardcore day one fans, and my brother said something real insightful to me about 4 or 5 years ago about the internet, and he was like, on the internet, you know, the game with social media is that half the time you hearing the loudest minority in terms of trolls, and now we know, like years later after the fact, after he said that companies will literally buy bots and, you feel me, have all types of algorithm and systems that can tell this phone hooked up to a machine to tweet this. If you see any of these keywords, comment on this tweet, whether it's for damage control, whether it's to boost another artist's sales and to slow down another artist's sales. There's so many like tricks and trades to this game that you really can't fall into that, you feel me? And at the end of the day, Chance the Rapper is still a Grammy award winning multi-millionaire rapper who's a good family man and a good husband, so from what we know. But like, so at the end of the day, like, as much as I did kind of agree with some of the stuff that people were saying during that era, I still appreciated the music and I listened to it. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say he fell off or anything, but I do think that's the backside of what can happen when you kind of make that decision and do it in that type of way. And that's not to keep anybody from doing it like that, but those are just examples of things we can look back on and see how it went. And maybe it was the way Chance was rapping, who knows, maybe it was the beats. Like I said, it really comes down to a lot of them being trolls, but seeing all of that happen, it really kind of helped me more, because I've always known that, like, no matter what I do, there might be some people that love it, there are gonna be some people that hate it. So at the end of the day, I just gotta keep doing what I love doing.
Okay. Are you familiar with Fresh and Fit?
Oh yeah.
I don't. We don't have to talk too much about, you know what I'm saying, they talk, because, you know, they very controversial. But I remember, I've been watching them for a minute, you know, kind of just like to, you know, pick their brains. One thing that they say that, like, marriage is like one of the worst things for people in the West, or men in the West. They say it's a terrible deal because, you know, when it comes times for people, when they want a divorce, for the most part, men do lose their money. Or they lose a lot. So what's your thoughts on that? Like,
I feel like as a spiritual person too, not to like bring like so much religion or anything into it, because that, you know, instantly turns some people away. But just trying to define it spiritually as who I am as an individual and being in tune with good energy and bad energy. And I come from a divorced family, so, you know, dealing with that myself, I think from that, me specifically, I try not to focus on that at all in general. Like, you know, you can't be naive to it, obviously, because, you know, sometimes the worst will happen in life, and you have to be mentally prepared so you don't have to break down, etc., lose your mind.
Right.
But as far as me, I don't really like putting that type of energy on things, because your words do carry like a spirit, and it's a very true statement. Manifestation is very real, but I would semi agree with them, because, you know, that's just sometimes how life is, and more times than none we see in those situations like the husband was the cause of a lot of the drama, etc., this, that, and the other. And we know that because in a lot of situations that we publicly know of where men have won and gotten their fair share, it's because the woman wasn't adequately doing enough in the court, in the eyes of whatever court they were in. So it also comes down to that too. Maybe you got a good judge, maybe you had a great lawyer, maybe you didn't have a great judge, maybe you didn't have a great lawyer. A lot of those factors play into it. That's why I think at the end of the day, for me at least, I try to strip everything away from it and just do whatever I can to not put myself in that situation, and be with a partner who also doesn't want to put themselves in that situation in general. So therefore, no matter who they get with, it'll be a civil matrimony. I don't want to say perfect, because nothing is perfect. Like, a lot of my homies who are happily married, they were like, bruh, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? That's just like what you do or what you say, to also help that person think about it more, because it is that big of a decision. Like, a lot of my friends weren't saying that to me to tell me not to do it. They would ask me that constantly, and then couple weeks before they knew I was doing it, or the day of, you know, the good luck messages would roll in, or they'd be like, you prayed about it, you thought about it. And when I give them that final yeah, it's like, bro, like, you feel me, congratulations, you're gonna enjoy it, you feel me? Like, they already know as a relationship, we probably done been through fights, this, that, and the other. You just keep your head up above water, and when you have somebody on your side that wants to do the same thing, you really don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. Like I said, life can happen at any moment, but at least for me, that's how I'm really looking forward to it and enjoying that, because it's made it so much better that way. Not really being worried about the worst comes worst, or her taking all my money, you feel me, or me taking all her money, because that's another misconception. Like, the man doesn't always have to be the breadwinner. Like, you know, I'm very fortunate that I'm with someone who's very independent and self-sufficient. She was just raised and bred that way. That's one of the things I really love about her. She's very ambitious in her own right, you know. So, you know, like COVID and all that, when I didn't have a job and she still did, and then she kept getting her paychecks, you feel me, that kept us afloat. If we have both been, you feel me, in a situation where, you feel me, and then when I came into the relationship not knowing nothing about her, you feel me, realized she had already had her own home. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and those aren't things I just actively search out, but they do make it a lot easier on a couple in general. And then her knowing, you feel me, I would help with this house, and you feel me, also support this and the other, that makes it easier for you to uproot yourself, you know. She wasn't used to suburb living, you know what I'm saying, like that type of stuff, you know. Like, it's hard to shift your mind from somewhere that you want to be to somewhere else in terms for a future lifestyle that you want to have, because it's not immediate. Like, you know, a couple weeks after we moved in here, she started to, you know, really like it being quiet and nice, you know, seeing kids riding bikes and the school bus come, and, you know, the neighbors all nice to us and super sweet, you know. It comes a different type of lifestyle and class when you kind of elevate and make a move like that. And then to couple it with getting engaged and seeing the future with each other, picking a venue. Our engagement shoot is on the 19th of this month. So it's all that stuff is exciting to where I'm really not thinking about the negative side. And I think a lot of people who do that, and they're not just trying to have that conversation just to bring awareness or to provide different different perspectives, they're doing it to kind of grab headlines. That's why you see a lot of the toxic stuff that we see nowadays in just the community of us as humans. We're faulted people. So having media and propaganda kind of shoved into our faces, also due to an algorithm like we've been talking about, it creates such a stronghold of a narrative that the narrative becomes a mindset when the narrative is fabricated. We're just people. If you want to get divorced, you get divorced. You feel me? Sometimes it just don't work out. Maybe it's not a negative thing. Sometimes a lot of divorces are settled amicably, where it's split. You feel me? The wife did this much work. The husband did this much work. They came to agreement. They walked away. The kids didn't suffer because they good parents. They know how to co-parent. You feel me? And now their kids know that, like, if I'm ever in a situation where I genuinely don't want to be in it no more, I can just communicate that. And yeah, it's gonna hurt. It might sting, but I don't have to ruin this man's life. I don't have to ruin this woman's life. But we don't see that. We don't see that a lot. We get pushed the toxic stuff. They got divorced. She keyed his car. She took all his money. He went crazy. He an alcoholic now. That stuff is so toxic, and we don't provide any resources for those people. All we do is laugh at them. So it's like, I really try to stay away from stuff like that, especially when it's not from a genuine type of, we're going to have this conversation to also explain the signs and give people resources and implement that into our everyday society. Like, they just want to do it for like clicks and laughs and, you feel me, to be talked about.
Right.
Yeah.